It's not a mystery to me. The same thing that happened to my daughter is what happened to Whitney. There's only one person that was around both occasions.
You won't say his name. Nick Gordon is who you're referring to.
I won't say his name.
I want the world to know that Bobbi Kristina did not die from the bathtub incident. That's not what killed Bobbi Kristina.
What killed Bobbi Kristina?
Bobbi Kristina was starved to death.
Do you approach that?
He knows what happened. I don't know what happened that night, but he does.
You walk through that door and you see her much like you saw Whitney.
It was literally, it was a nightmare all over again.
And then it's Grammy time.
That happened.
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobbi Kristina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead. Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the dealer in that gave her the shot. Leola has said, Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beat. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
I saw Ray J coming out of the hotel, hiding his head, being pushed into the car. Why? I looked and I said, why is he hiding? Why is he hiding his face? He's always trying to show his face when he's around Whitney. Why now? Why are you trying to hide now, Ray J? And I put it all together. When I first heard she passed away, I said, my God, somebody gave her a bad bag. Yes, I promise you, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And then I saw Ray J, and it all added up.
And then it's Grammy time.
That happened.
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobbi Kristina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead. This is a young man who swears to God that he loves my niece. But yet you drag her up the steps, you pull her by her hair. You pull her by her hair and you punch her in the face and you knock 2 of her teeth out of her mouth.
Two eerily similar tragedies to iconic figures lost too soon, and one man tied to both of their deaths. Was it all just an unfortunate coincidence? Or is there a much darker truth behind it? There are too many chilling connections to ignore. 2 stars, bound by blood, lost in almost identical circumstances, both found in bathtubs. Both gone too soon, and yet, the most haunting detail, they both seemed to sense something was coming. Let's dive into the disturbing details surrounding the mysterious deaths of Whitney Houston and her daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown. Their final moments, their eerie warnings, and the shocking truth that may have been hidden in plain sight. And trust me, once you see the connections, you won't look at these cases the same way again. Because the deeper you dig, the more sinister it gets. Whitney Houston, an undisputed music legend, a voice that defined generations, was found dead in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel on February 11, 2012. A tragic loss that sent shockwaves through the world. The official story, an overdose leading to accidental drowning. But some believe there's more to the story, something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface. Fast forward 3 years, the unthinkable happens again. Her daughter, Bobbi Kristina Brown, is found unresponsive in a bathtub under nearly identical circumstances. The eerie parallels sent chills down the spine of fans and investigators alike. She was placed in a medically induced coma but never woke up. 6 months later, she was gone. Just like her mother. The official cause of death, accidental drowning. But here's where things get chilling. Bobbi Kristina was found with mysterious bruises on her body, evidence that didn't quite match up with the narrative given to the public. And some believe she was trying desperately to escape the same fate as her mother, as if history was repeating itself in the most terrifying way possible. Could she have known the truth about what really happened to Whitney? Did she uncover something that put her in danger? And if so, was her death truly an accident, or something far more deliberate? The official report claims Whitney drowned after a drug overdose. But forensic experts pointed out something suspicious. There wasn't enough water in her lungs to confirm drowning. That raises a chilling question. If she didn't drown, what really happened? And more importantly, who was with her in those final moments? Then there's the alarming eyewitness accounts. Staff at the Beverly Hilton reported bruises on Whitney's body before she was found dead. Bruises, not just one or two, but multiple. Signs of a struggle, a violent encounter. Who hurt her, and why was it never investigated? And perhaps even more disturbingly, why was the entire hotel floor placed on an immediate lockdown after her body was found? And let's talk about that. Mysterious note she handed Brandy Norwood on live TV just days before she died. Brandy has never revealed what it said. Could it have been a warning? A desperate cry for help? A final clue to the truth about what was really happening behind the scenes? Some believe Brandy knows exactly what was going on, but has stayed silent out of fear. And here's the real bombshell. Hours after Whitney's death, Clive Davis, her longtime mentor, kept his Grammy party going just floors above her lifeless body, almost like her death was expected. Why wasn't the party immediately shut down? Why was there no sense of urgency? Some even say Whitney was trying to warn people about the industry before her death, but she never got the chance. Coincidence? Or something much more sinister? And if it was the latter, who wanted Whitney Houston gone? After Whitney's death, Bobbi Kristina spiraled. She was vulnerable, lost, and searching for someone to trust. Without her mother's guidance, she became increasingly isolated, latching onto the people closest to her, some of whom didn't have her best interest at heart. That's when Nick Gordon stepped in. The man Whitney had once taken in like a son, someone Bobbi Kristina had known for years. At first, it seemed like he was there to protect her, offering comfort in the wake of her mother's death. But what started as friendship quickly morphed into a toxic, controlling relationship, one that would ultimately push Bobbi Kristina to the breaking point. Her family begged her to leave him, warning her that he was dangerous, manipulative, and using her for money. But Bobbi Kristina was deeply in love, convinced that Nick was the only one who truly understood her pain. She ignored the warnings, even as her friends began noticing bruises, erratic behavior, and signs of substance abuse. Then, everything changed. One day, she finally decided to move to Los Angeles, hoping for a fresh start. Away from Nick and the toxic environment that surrounded her, she was ready to rebuild her life. But she never made it. The morning she was found in the bathtub, she had been planning to leave him the very day she had spoken to close friends, expressing fear, but also excitement about her decision. But she never got the chance to walk away. Was her death another tragic accident? Or was someone making sure she never escaped? Too many details don't add up, and the eerie similarities to her mother's fate make the whole situation even more disturbing. The official story: Bobbi Kristina overdosed and drowned. But let's look at what happened right before that moment, because the details, they don't just raise eyebrows, they paint a picture of something far more sinister. According to reports, Bobbi Kristina and Nick had a violent argument. Witnesses later recalled hearing screaming and loud banging coming from their home. Then, just hours later, she was found face down in the bathtub, conscious, eerily similar to how her mother was discovered 3 years prior. Then there's the toxic cocktail. A lawsuit later accused Nick Gordon of drugging Bobbi Kristina, knocking her out before placing her in the tub. But here's the disturbing part: medical examiners found a deadly mix of drugs in her system, substances she was never known to use. So how did they get there? And more importantly, who gave them to her? And yet, somehow, Nick never faced criminal charges. Authorities said there wasn't enough evidence. But was that really the truth? Or was there pressure to keep certain details buried? Her father, Bobby Brown, refuses to believe the official story. He insists Bobbi Kristina was murdered. And he's not alone. Many believe she was silenced before she could reveal what really happened to Whitney Houston. Here's where things get even more disturbing and even harder to dismiss as just coincidence. Nick Gordon wasn't just around when Bobbi Kristina died. He was also at the Beverly Hilton the night Whitney was found dead. That means he was present at the scene of both tragic deaths, each under circumstances that were far too similar to ignore. The eerie connection sent shockwaves through those following the case. And after Bobbi Kristina's death, he was sued for wrongful death, found legally responsible, and ordered to pay a staggering $36 million in damages. The courts deemed that his actions had contributed to her death, but was there more to the story than what the public was told? Nick denied everything. He claimed he loved Bobbi Kristina, that he had nothing to do with what happened to her or her mother. But despite his protests, his life spiraled into a dark abyss of addiction, guilt, and self-destruct. By 2020, the cycle had caught up with him. He died of a heroin overdose, alone and abandoned. A tragic end, but to some, a fitting one. Here's where things take a darker turn. Some believe Nick was just a manipulative opportunist who got caught in his own web of lies and toxicity. Others, however, think he was a pawn in something much bigger, a deliberate cover-up. A conspiracy designed to erase both Whitney and Bobbi Kristina before they could expose dangerous secrets. But if that's true, then the biggest question remains: who wanted them gone? And more importantly, what were they trying to hide? This is where things go beyond Nick Gordon and into the world of music industry power players. Whitney did not trust Clive Davis despite his public persona as her mentor. Just days before she died, she was seen arguing with him at a pre-Grammy event. Lella Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has made a shocking claim Whitney was beaten before her death, but nobody in power seemed interested in investigating that angle. And let's not forget the missing hotel security footage. Why was it erased? Who didn't want the world to see what happened that night? Some believe Whitney and Bobbi Kristina were both silenced to protect secrets that the industry never wanted exposed. But what were those secrets, and who else might be covering for them? To deaths, the bathtubs. One man tied to both. The eerie similarities are too much to ignore. Nick Gordon is gone, but the questions remain. Was he acting alone, or was he just a piece of a larger puzzle? And if Whitney's death was planned, was Bobbi Kristina targeted to keep her silent? The truth might never be fully revealed. But one thing's for sure, too many things don't add up. What do you think? Was this just a tragic coincidence? Or is there something much darker behind these two deaths? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the shocking secrets of Hollywood, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next.